Today's run, I wanted to use something that a lot of people seem to kind of just look over, and that Pokemon is Psyduck, the Pokemon that is trapped in an eternal headache. Well, funny enough, this challenge is probably going to give me a taste of that feeling too. While Psyduck is pretty mediocre in every stat for an unevolved Pokemon, it's actually not that bad, and being a water type is pretty good for the early game. However, where Psyduck really lacks is its level up move list. It is terrible. Now, you may notice that we don't learn a new move until level 28, and that's just Tail Whip. That's because breeding didn't exist in Gen 1, so there was no way to obtain a Psyduck until around level 28 without cheating, so Game Freak just decided to program new moves, starting at its encountered level. This makes perfect sense from a game design standpoint, but unfortunately, this decision makes solo runs absolutely painful in the early game for later game Pokemon. I expect Brock to be in absolute pain since we don't get a water type move by level up until level 52, and the Water Gun TM isn't available until Mount Moon. Speaking of which, by TM, we get some decent coverage, mainly Ice type moves, but all of this doesn't matter in the early game where it matters the most. So let's just fast forward to Brock and see just how bad the situation is looking at a normal level. We're doing basically 1 damage to Geodude every turn, while its tackles are doing about 6 or 7 damage. And unlike in Gen 2 onward, I can't rely on Struggle since in Gen 1, Struggle is a normal type attack, so it's just going to be worse for us. After about an hour, I try again at level 17, and we're making it a bit farther on Geodude, but still not enough to take it out. I have to hope for decent crit luck since it ignores stat buffs, and in Gen 1, crits are determined by speed. Psyduck, with the base speed of 55, has about a 10.5% chance of getting a crit, which is better than the usual 1 in 16 chance. At level 21, I'm able to consistently make it past Geodude, but unfortunately Onix is a complete brick wall at this level. However, its high defense isn't the only issue. You see, in Gen 1, Onix has Bide, which in most cases isn't a threat, just use status moves. In my case, however, this is really bad since Psyduck only has Scratch until level 28, so I have no choice but to attack every turn when Onix uses Bide, and when it does, it hurts a lot. I'm really hoping I don't have to grind all the way to level 28 just so I can get Tail Whip. So I normally don't record myself grinding since it's extremely boring and tedious, and I also wouldn't want to give anyone a potential seizure from speeding up the video too much. But to give you a little taste on how boring it is, I recorded a small bit of a grinding session. As you can see, the most experience I can get at this point is around 58, and that's only from the rare cocoons. Psyduck needs over 1600 experience points to level up once at this level. At level 26, I try again. We do decent damage to Geodude now, and it's only doing about 3 damage to us. Eventually, I'm able to take Geodude out with 55 HP still, which should hopefully be enough to tank Onix's Bides. We aren't really doing much to Onix with Scratch, but it luckily just goes for Screech a few times and then Bide. Bide is doing close to 20 damage every time though, which is worrying me, but some more scratches later and Onix goes for 1 last Bide, but it's too late and we barely take it out. Well, I didn't expect to have to grind to level 26 for the first gym, but oh well. Less grinding for later, I suppose. Now fast forward to Rival 2 and we get a pretty easy win. I grabbed the TN for Water Gun and Mount Moon, so we finally have a stab move to deal some good damage. Pidgeotto is just barely a 2-shot, and of course, as always, Aber can't attack, so I take it out easily. Next is Rattata, but Water Gun is also able to one-shot it. And finally, Bulbasaur. I was a little worried since a new Vine Whip, but it just went for Leech Seed instead, and it was an easy 3-shot. Next is Misty, but right before fighting her, I grabbed a very useful secret weapon for this fight, Seismic Toss. It deals the same amount of HP as my level, which means that it always does 30 HP of damage currently, which is a lot for this early in the game. I use Scratch on Staryu, which does about half, but then she uses an X defense, so I use Seismic Toss, taking it out. Next is Starmie, but Seismic Toss does pretty much half of its health, so I win without any trouble. I can definitely see this being useful even during the later game when we're super overleveled, because we're going to be able to do a lot of fixed damage. Now, usually I would fight all of the trainers in the SSN, however, this time I go straight to my rival. Now, you may be wondering why. And that's because in between Misty and the rival fight, we get 2 very useful TMs, Dig and Body Slam. Dig is obviously useful for our rival's Ivysaur and of course for Surge later on, and Body Slam is just good for some reliable physical attack. So, of course, Arrival goes by really easily. We take him out using our new moves, and Ivysaur goes down using 1 dig, which, by the way, is 100 base power in this generation, which is really useful. And, of course, Surge was, again, a cakewalk. Voltorb does outspeed us, and it goes for Sonic Boom, which kinda sucks, but we take it out pretty easily, and then Pikachu is a one-shot with Body Slam, and then for Raichu, I was a little worried that he was gonna use Thunderbolt, but for some reason, he went with an X speed, so we got to go with Dig, and then he went for Thundershock, which of course missed, and then we just took it out with Dig. So yeah, kind of a bad play by him, but an easy win for us. Now, one thing I do like about the Gen 1 games over the remakes is the fact that normally in Violet and Leaf Green, I would have to go through Diglett Cave and then have to go get HM for Flash, but in this game, for some reason, even though the cave is pitch black, you can still see the outline of the borders, so I can just freely go through. I'm trying to think about the potential obstacles we can have in the future, but honestly, I don't really see much of a problem. I mean, even Erica, the next gym leader we have to fight, we can just go with Dig and Ice Beam and we should be okay. This run actually might be a cakewalk now that we have actual good coverage. So Erica took about 3 tries because of the fact that Victory Bell would always go for Sleep Powder first turn, and then it would hit us with Razor Leaf, and due to Razor Leaf being a high crit chance move and Victory Bell's speed stat, it pretty much has a 100% chance to crit us, and that crit takes us down to 20 health. However, I ended up getting lucky and getting a miss from Victory Bell Sleep Powder, which was a 25% chance of happening, and because of that, I was able to take Victory Bell out. Her next Pokemon was Tangela, but we outsped, and she didn't really have any strong moves on it, so we were able to take it out in 2 hits. Finally was Vileplume, and it got a Sleep Powder in, and I was kind of worried because, if you don't know, in Gen 1, sleep is a lot more dangerous than it is in future generations. The turn you wake up, you still can't attack, and sleep lasts really long in Gen 1. So I thought we were gonna lose here, but luckily we woke up on about like turn 2, and Vileplume actually took us all the way down to 3 HP before we got the finishing blow. That was a lot closer than I thought, but then again, we only have a 10 level lead. And of course, the Giovanni fight was a complete sweep. The only Pokemon on his team that actually did any damage was his Kangaskhan, which used Rage, which is one of the worst moves in Gen 1. Actually, it's one of the worst moves of all time. Next up is Rival 3, and he usually isn't that big of an issue, and here he was even less of an issue than he was in previous runs. If we keep going at this pace for the entirety of this run, this might actually be my fastest challenge yet. Is it even going to be 10 minutes long? I don't know. Well, I guess you do because you're watching the video, but me doing the voiceover, I don't know. So, Koga. It was a very interesting fight. So, I kind of realized that I made a huge mistake by deleting Dig earlier because we can't get that TM back, and that was a really useful move, so now I'm kind of stuck with Seismic Toss, which is probably not going to be very useful going forward. However, as you can see in the Koga fight, we don't really have much of a threat against us as his Poison-type Pokemon don't really do that much damage. However, at the very end, Weezing goes for Self-Destruct, and I thought that we were going to lose right there, but we survive on 11 HP. Wow, that was definitely one of the most interesting fights I've had so far. Alright, so moving on to Rival 5, I was actually kind of worried because our level lead is kind of gone. We're only 10 levels above his Pokemon, and he now has fully evolved Pokemon on his team. But, as you can see, Ice Beam was able to do most of Pidgeot's damage. It goes for a Sand Attack, that's kind of annoying, but it didn't really matter. Then next up was Gyarados, and I used Ice Beam, and if you can see right there, it says that the move was super effective, and it isn't. That's just for some reason how Gen 1 works. So I just go with Seismic Toss to take it out, and then next was Growlithe, which was obviously a one-shot. And then Alakazam has bad physical defense, so Body Slams took it out. And then his last Pokemon was Venusaur, and I was kind of worried that he was going to go with something like Razor Leaf to get a free crit and take us out, but on our first Ice Beam, we froze him. And in Gen 1, if a Pokemon is frozen, you can't unfreeze it unless if you use an Ice Heal or if the opponent uses a Fire-type move. Next was the second Giovanni fight, but do I really have to narrate what happens? I mean, come on. He has ground types, and we have water type moves, so yeah, this was a complete sweep. Sabrina, to my surprise, took quite a few tries. I guess it isn't much of a surprise though, since they all have fast speed, which in Gen 1 means a high crit chance. I was worried that I would need to grind even more, but I ended up winning the battle at just level 50. Kadabra is a one-shot with Body Slam, although it uses Psychic to hit hard. Mr. Mime is a two-shot, and it just goes for Double Slap, which does basically nothing. Venomoth, though, was the main reason I lost for most of my previous fights, since it uses Stun Spore and then confuses me, but I'm able to take it out. Last is Alakazam, and I get a clutch crit with Body Slam. It goes for Recover, and I win after she goes for some more bad move choices. Afterwards, I headed straight for Blaine, since I knew that he was going to be easy. Growlithe and Ponyta are one-shots obviously, and with Rapidash I get to witness firsthand his signature tactic, using a super potion at full health. What a genius. Anyway, last is Arcanine, and he gets a lucky takedown crit, which brings us to 44 HP, but Surf is luckily able to take it out. What an interesting fight. Finally, we have the third Giovanni fight, and he was a complete sweep. Rhyhorn goes down with one Ice Beam, and he goes for a Guard Spec for Jugtrio for some reason, so one Surf takes it down. Nidoqueen is a one-shot with Surf, and of course so is Nidoking since it has lower defense. His final Pokemon is Rhydon, but since it's 4 times weak to Surf, it's yet another easy one-shot, ending this supposedly truly intense fight. So while I got a nice boss rush, there is unfortunately no way that I can beat the rival at just level 53. My level lead is completely gone, as you can see that his Pidgeot is level 47. Ice Beam brings it to about a quarter of health, which is pretty good, and he goes for a Quick Attack, which only does a bit. I finish it off, and out comes Rhyhorn, who is of course an easy one-shot. Next is Gyarados, so I go for Seismic Toss, thinking that my other moves wouldn't do much, but we only do about a third with it. He goes for a Leer and misses, so I go for Ice Beam, which does about the same as Seismic Toss. He goes for a Leer again and hits, which actually boosts my stats slightly. I take it out, and he sends out Growlithe, who also goes down in one hit. Last is his Venusaur, which unfortunately is going to be our brick wall. Or is it? We get a crit Ice Beam, and his Vine Whip doesn't take me out. Oh my god, I just won at level 55. Okay, fast forward, and I used the rest of my rare candies on Psyduck since I already know that level 55 is not going to be happening. So now it's level 63, and as you can see, while I get pretty far, Psyduck just doesn't have enough HP yet to quite beat Lorelei. I'll level up a few more times and then come back. I level up to level 69 because, nice, and this battle had the most Gen 1 ending ever. I go for my usual 2 Body Slams and Submission for Dugong, but it goes for Growl twice. And here is where we can see the Badge Boost glitch take action for the first time in this run. Surf is suddenly dealing quite a lot more damage. I mean, look, Cloyster is a 2-shot, and Slowbro is taking considerably more damage. The levels obviously helped, but so did the boosts. Jinx is a 2-shot, but out comes Lapras, the scariest member. She goes for Body Slam, paralyzing me on the first turn, and then Confuse Ray the next. I get 3 confusion hits in a row, and I'm at 9 HP. Well, I lost, I guess. Oh, wait. She's just going for Confuse Ray over and over. Wait. I just won. Okay, I guess I'll take it. Next up, we have Bruno, but as always, he's pretty much a joke. Onix is a one-shot with Surf, and his Hitmonchan takes big damage from Body Slam as he uses an X-Defend, so I just finish it off with Surf. I get a lucky Body Slam crit on Hitmonlee to one-shot it, and Onix is obviously a one-shot. His last Pokemon is Machamp, and we get another crit. Okay, Gen 1 is just something else. Then we have Agatha, and this took quite a few tries. I was considering grinding again, but I ended up getting yet another Gen 1 battle. Agatha tries to imitate a new Pokemon Showdown player by randomly switching every turn, as I slowly take her team out. I make it to her final Gengar with 135 health, which is enough to take 2 Nightshades. Luckily, that was just enough to win with 15 HP. Like, what even is this run? Fourth is Lance, and yet again, this first try win was completely lopsided. Gyarados puts up a good fight, Hyper Beaming me to half health. My only good attack here is Body Slam, so I just spam it, getting some lucky crits to take it out. Then his Dragonairs get one-shotted by Ice Beam. Aerodactyl got me worried as its bite got a crit and took me down to low health, but luckily one Surf took it out. Finally, his level 62 Dragonite. I was worried that he'd outspeed, but he surprisingly didn't, and Ice Beam one-shot. Wow, I am speechless. How is Psyduck doing so well? And finally, the champion, our rival. Pidgeot goes for Mirror Move for some reason first turn as I nail it with an Ice Beam, taking it to low health. It goes for a 35 base power wing attack, which doesn't do that much damage. Next is Alakazam, who used Psybeam, and it did quite a lot as my Body Slam got an extremely clutch paralysis. Next was Rhydon, but Giovanni already showed us that Rock types stand no chance in this run. Then Gyarados. I was extremely scared that it would use Hyper Beam at any moment to just one-shot Psyduck, but it just used Leer. Oh, well thanks for the boost. And because of the badge boost glitch, now I outspeed and I one-shot Arcanine with ease. Lastly is Venusaur, but he shoots himself in the foot as he goes for Solar Beam. Not Mega Drain or Razor Leaf, but the one move that lost him the battle. Gen 1, man. Gen 1. Well, that was fast. I seriously didn't think that Psyduck would be able to actually win this pretty easily. I mean, there were some hard fights, but overall, Gen 1 luck just saved us. Yeah, that was just an interesting run, especially with the Elite Four. I mean, oh my god. Apparently they're the best trainers, and the stuff that they were doing is very questionable. Anyway, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that run, even though it was a little bit short. I, again, didn't expect it to be so short and so fast, but I guess it was. Anyway, just as a little side note, I am doing the second half of the voiceover today on December 26th, and the first half of this voiceover was done on the 24th. And, well, a lot of stuff happened today in terms of viewership and stuff. So, I don't know. I just wanted to give a really big thank you for all of the support that this channel has been getting this past day. It's just absolutely crazy that that one video that I made a few days ago got so much attention. But yeah, I appreciate it, and I'm gonna keep continuing to make this kind of stuff. I'm gonna keep doing a lot of solo runs, and I'm also gonna keep doing a lot of unique other challenges too. So if you like that kind of stuff and you aren't subscribed, then make sure to subscribe, as I have no intentions of stopping anytime soon. So yeah, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys all soon.